a lot of relationship dynamics aren't the best. If they were good, then people wouldn't be struggling as much as they are, right? Mentally and emotionally. So let me start with the one with my mom. So, like I mentioned, my mom has had a drug and alcohol addiction issue pretty much for her entire life. She hasn't really been there for myself, my brother, my sister, pretty much ever. So just, fast forward this, our childhood upbringing was very traumatic, very inconsistent, very toxic, very just abandoning. So not good at all. So because of that, now that my siblings and I were adults now, we're like 40 plus, we've had to do a lot of inner work. We've had to do a lot of trial and error and just like figure things out and go through a lot of adversity that we didn't deserve as children. And if that is your situation too, if you can relate to this, I'm sure you've had to do a lot of work to now become a better version of yourself. Or if you're not quite there yet, you're watching this video for a reason. You are interested. You are ready to create a better life for yourself. You are ready to feel better about yourself. So, as you're doing that, one, I just want to commend you. It's hard work. It is commitment. It is not easy. It takes persistence and it is harder because if you didn't have loving parents and appropriate parenting growing up, things are just a lot harder than they need to be. And there's just a lot more figuring out in adulthood. So, anyway, fast forward. Okay. Boundary with my mother, who's grieving because she had lost her boyfriend of, I think, 14 years in 2024. And, that pulled at my heartstrings. I'm like, oh my God, she's been with this man forever. That has been like her rock, even though he had issues as well. But they somehow made it work with each other. So her losing him was very scary to myself and my family. Like, oh my God, what's going to happen to our mother now? Like, is she like, we were very, very concerned, even though she has like isolated herself and taken herself out of the family circle for again, years and years and years. It's still like a concern. And there's still some type of contact once a year during when we go to beach because she lives at the beach. So when we all go there, we invite her to come and it's a good time for a couple hours and and that's it. But her losing her life partner of 14 years was very scary, obviously for her, but also very scary for us kids because we were concerned of, okay, well, how do we handle this? What do we do now? How do we step in? How do we still protect ourselves? Just we didn't really know what to do. So I'm at a point to where I'm at the best years of my life right now. I've been with my partner for almost a decade. I have an amazing 2-year-old daughter. Um, I've done a lot of work to get to where I'm at in this relationship with myself and just my self-worth and confidence and living an aligned life and just, not to boast about me, but I'm in a good, healthy place, right? So it's like, how do I protect my my well-being and also just my time now that I am busier and I have bigger responsibilities having a child now and having my coaching practice, like how do I manage all this? So in the beginning, my family, siblings, couple of close aunts, we came together and we're like, okay, so how are we gonna, support our mom without enabling her, without coming in to save her and letting her take advantage of us like she always has. So we didn't do it well. Basically, the first, I would say, few months, there was enabling, there was babying, there was her overstepping boundaries, like usual, a lot of selfish behavior. So basically, I got to a point, and my brother and sister too, to where we're like, nothing's changed. She's lost her partner of 14 years. There's an opportunity to reconnect with her kids. We try to give that opportunity, and nothing has changed. The behavior is still the same as it's always been for 3+ decades, actually 4 decades. So where do we just stop? Stop, giving the benefit of the doubt. And, it was hard, but I came to my senses. And again, I'm not like I'm sharing this to give you just some ideas and just like a paint a story and a picture here. I came to my senses and I talked to my partner Andre about this. I'm like, look, this is draining. This is exhausting. The phone calls, the conversations that are very surface level and just not pleasant. Um, so the conversations aren't evolving as time goes by. Her behavior isn't changing. She's not trying to be present or come visit or see her granddaughter and the text messaging, it's again surface level and it's frustrating, it's annoying because like I'm when I'm with my kid and when I'm with my family I want to be with my family and not have my mind there and when I'm working I want to work, so it was just like a lot of me feeling conflicted internally about, okay, where do I put this boundary back in place and protecting myself and keeping this um boundary with my mother to where I don't lose myself again or be like create turmoil in myself in my head. So here's what happened. The boundary I have after going through all of that, sorry for the long-winded explanation here, but the boundary I have now is I am part of my mom's life, but it's completely on my terms because I know the addict behavior. I know how it works. I've learned it. I've learned a lot about it in Al-Anon. I've learned a lot about it just being her kid for 40 years. Like, I understand the behavior, the mindset, and how if she's not willing to get sober or clean, there's nothing that's really in like any um what's the thing? There's no expectation I have for her to change because she lost her partner. Like nothing has changed. So what I do is I block my mom. So I don't see her name pop up on my phone and I don't see her text messages pop up on my phone requesting almost borderline at one point demanding pictures to see my daughter. So I blocked her. So now the relationship, the boundary is on my terms, meaning I'll reach out to her when I want to reach out. Holidays, birthdays, if she's sending something, I'll send a thank you, and that's it. So, and I'll call her when I want to call her, but there's no um, way for her to pop up on my phone, caller ID, or a text whenever she feels like it, which was getting out of hand for quite a while. That may seem cold to you, but if you have experience with a family member, a loved one who has struggled with substance abuse and they have really no interest or commitment in getting sober or clean, you get it, right? And this long-winded explanation and story is going to be for you if this is something you're struggling with now, right? So maybe they are grieving because they lost a partner, right? Or a spouse, and you wanted to step in and try and help them, right? But you're realizing this, I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. I don't feel like this is healthy. I'm feeling drained, feeling exhausted. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling angry. I'm just feeling like how I don't want to feel. Consider this. The relationship supporting this person is on your terms when you're available, when you have the time and space to do so. Okay. So hopefully this tip on how to enforce this healthy boundary with a grieving loved one who there's toxic dynamic relationship there. Hopefully this is helpful. If it is, please definitely let me know in the comments like, Nikki, I get it. I get where you're coming from. Yes, this is helpful. And I also have a question about this. Ask me in the comments, okay? Now let's go ahead and switch gears to how to have healthy boundaries with a grieving loved one, friend, family member, coworkers, when the relationship is actually okay. It's not completely, toxic like the last example. And take a sip here. How you do this, and I was telling my client this, and it's not just boundaries. So my client is very empathetic. She's very huge empath. And this can be a bit more challenging on the emotional and heartstrings, but she was telling me what was going on with, a friend losing her mother, and also, her mother's sister being sick. So they're reaching out to her, and she's really feeling obligated, and not even just obligated, but just her heart, just being an empath. She wants to be there. She wants to support. She wants to be on top of things. But the problem with that, with being so empathic and really taking on this responsibility and making sure that everyone's okay or that you're there for them and that they're okay, the problem with this is that it can affect you not in a good way. You're going to get behind on work. You're not going to have the energy to take care of yourself. You're just going to be feeling overwhelmed. So that's what was happening with my client over the past couple weeks. So we were talking, and I shared with her just little baby steps on how to have a healthy boundary with a grieving loved one. And one of the baby steps that I shared with her that she could practice this week is putting her phone on do not disturb. Because the other thing is, her friends, her family, they know she works from home. And people who don't work from home, who don't work remotely, they may not understand that that's still actually working. If anything, you need to be more focused than if you're working at an office because there's higher expectation. So I was telling her, I said, what you can do is put your phone on do not disturb. Okay. And she was concerned, like, but what if they, like, what they need me in the moment? Like, I missed this call when her mom actually passed, and I just felt bad. I'm like, I like, yes. And I get that. I understand that. And it's like, in this, I'm really coming from a good place here. The person, like, it, it's not your responsibility to have their urgency or emergency become your own. You can be there for them, but you can't be on call. That's not your place or your position, especially if it's hurting you or affecting you. If it isn't, that's a different thing. But if it is affecting your responsibilities in your personal life, you got to put these boundaries in place so that do not disturb. And then that way you're not getting interrupted or distracted from a project that you're knee deep focused in and you're in your creative space that you have to get done. Okay, like you could check back your messages after, that deep work of an hour and a half to 2 hours, right? And it's also just knowing it's being self-aware that when there is a lot of sad things going on, how to self-care. So I was reminding my client how important it is for her to really be consistent with her exercise because when she moves her body, she feels better, right? When she does Pilates, she feels better. When she's going to a workout class, she feels better. So I said, really make sure that is a big rock and a huge focus in your calendar throughout the week. Ramping up or really being diligent and just committed to this physical exercise, this movement, because that helps your mindset. That helps you emotionally. Okay. The other tip I gave her, and a piece of advice was mentioning grieving, like books on grief and then support groups on grief, not like telling them to do something or forcing it down their throat or really pushing it, but more so like how, because we did this in our call, we looked up books on how to handle grief, how to process grief, how to get support through grief. So I was like, you could do that research. Like we did it in our call on Amazon, um, how to process grief, how to, get support during grief. I'm like, so you can send this as a text. You can share this link with them as well. So it's just these little subtle things that you can do to protect yourself, right? These little subtle yet very, I would say, empowering boundaries that you can put in place to protect your mental and emotional well-being. All right. And there were a few other things we talked about. I'm just like losing them from my brain right now. But let's do a recap and we'll see if it comes to me. So, recap boundaries with a toxic dynamic relationship person in your life, loved one in your life. So, in the case, the story I told earlier, my mother. So, the boundary I have there when as she's going through grieving, is it is a one-way contact. So I've blocked my mom on my, her contact me, so I reach out to her on my terms. I know that might sound cold, but again, if you have any experience with substance abuse being a big part of your life and it wreaking havoc, and now here you are at the best years of your life, you understand why that boundary would need to be there to where you reach out to them on your terms. Okay. Now, the second story, my client, loved ones, good relationships, decent relationships. She's very empathic, wants to be there, but she also wants to protect herself. Do not disturb on her phone, especially during working hours, so then she can get back to them when she's done working on a project that's important. Two, suggesting resources. So she's doing the research and then she is specifically recommending a book or a support group without high attachment of them actually taking action on it. So that's where you need to protect your energy as well, my love, is do a little bit of research for your loved one, hand over the resource, the book, the group, but to have no clingy attachment to them actually taking action on it. Because they may not ever, or they may not right away because they're not there yet. And, or they may vary like a lot like later on. So just recommend helpful resources to them on grief and, but don't have any attachment of, did you do it? Did you do it? How come we're not doing it? How come we're not doing it? Like that's not going to be helpful. Okay. And then the third thing with this, right, healthy boundary with a loved one going through grief to protect yourself is really ramping up or being consistent with your self-care, with exercising, with your journaling, with eating healthy, with getting plenty of sleep, with spending time with friends that are in a good place and that are very optimistic and uplifting and you feel amazing after hanging out with them. So really getting plans on the books with them and just doing all these things that do make you feel good. Okay. All right. So I hope that this was helpful. If it was, definitely give this video a thumbs up. If I didn't mention something that would be helpful or that you do want to know, and that you want my opinion on, definitely ask me below in the comments. Okay. And for the rest of this month, I have four more videos on boundaries. The key indicator, how you know you need a boundary, how to create this boundary with confidence, right? Like how to communicate it with confidence, how to know that these self-respecting boundaries, healthy boundaries, are actually transforming your life, and how to enforce and master these boundaries forever. Okay, so I have four more videos coming at you in this last 2 weeks of January. So if you are up for that, you need some help with setting healthy boundaries, finding out how you know you need them, how to enforce them, and definitely subscribe to my channel and turn your notifications on so you'll be notified of when the next video is published, which my plan is a little bit later this week. All right, hope this was helpful. Love you. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in another video very soon. Bye for now.